Everyone knows the Bay Area is one of the most expensive places to live in the United States. You're watching this video because you're curious about Oakland, California. Stay tuned and we'll cover the cost. I'm Katie Pratt. I'm a realtor in the East Bay. I've lived in Oakland, Emeryville, and Southern Berkeley during the past decade. I initially moved here as a teacher in 2010, so I know the importance of budgeting when it comes to relocating, especially when it comes to housing. We'll cover the cost of living in Oakland when it comes to housing, groceries, eating out, entertainment, even though we don't have much of that during COVID, transportation when comparing to other cities like Berkeley, San Francisco. Oakland used to be one of the more affordable cities. Its proximity to San Francisco became really attractive to tech workers after the last recession in 2010, 11, 12. Over the years, rent and housing prices have skyrocketed. Low interest rates for mortgage loans, the city's strict policies when it comes to new housing development, and lack of current housing has only made the problem worse. If you are moving here and you want to consider renting before buying, the median rental prices for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in Oakland, according to Rentameter.com in 2020, would be $2,500. If you wanted anything above a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, that would cost you north of $3,500. If you compare that to San Francisco, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment would rent for at least $3,600. Just across the way in Berkeley, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, home, condo would rent for about $2,800. So it's slightly more expensive. Many families decide to rent in Berkeley because they want their kids to attend the schools there. If you're in the market to purchase a home, depending on what neighborhood you're in, you're going to see similar prices to other parts of the East Bay. In the past 6 months, the median home price for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot home was $997,000. Again, this is all of Oakland. There are big differences between a neighborhood in East Oakland and the median price of a home of that size in Crocker Highlands, for example. So it's neighborhood dependent. If you look at the US average for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot home is $320,000, a huge difference. And to compare that to San Francisco's median home of that type would cost you $1.495 million. Again, that's according to data in the past 6 months. If you go across the tunnel to Lafayette, that median home price would be around $1.5 million as well. Berkeley, slightly cheaper according to the last 6 months data, at $1.3 million for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 plus square foot home. The last city I want to compare Oakland's median home price to is Richmond. Richmond also has access to other parts of the East Bay with the BART system, which I'll talk about when covering transportation costs. But a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home would cost around $620,000. Keep in mind that inventory has been amazingly lower than it has been in previous years because of shelter in place and COVID. We realtors think that we're experiencing a late spring and that sellers will eventually put more homes on the market, and this might have a downward pressure on both rents and median home prices. After giving you some sticker shock with housing prices, I want to remind you that Oakland is the 6th most expensive city in the United States in 2020. So when presenting some of these other costs, they might not seem 54.5% above the US average. Housing prices definitely drive that statistic. If you are going to buy a home in Oakland, another consideration is utilities and taxes. Utilities include PG&E, which is electricity and gas, water, sewage, which is East Bay mud, and the monopoly, waste management. They're one of the only trash providers. It's just very difficult to get any other kind of service. I'm gonna itemize these utilities because some are paid quarterly and some are paid monthly. PG&E, depending on what kind of house you live in or what kind of property you live in, can vary from $40 in the summer to $150 in the winter. A lot of homes do not have HVAC, so you're relying on wall heaters, which are supposed to be more energy efficient, and you definitely don't have air conditioning. A lot of homes, unless they've been upgraded recently, will not have air conditioning. For East Bay Mud, your water sewer services, you're billed quarterly. For the average house, the cost of East Bay Mud on a monthly basis is about $60 to $80 per month. For waste management, you can expect to pay $30 to $45 per month for a single family home. If you own a multifamily, that's a different conversation. One expense I didn't cover was cable, internet. So for high speed, you can expect to pay around $75 a month. Sonic internet is another option, and I've seen advertisements as low as $40 per month. So those of you who watch Netflix and other TV service providers instead of cable, you're in luck. As a homeowner, you've already incurred quite a few expenses. Taxes are another expense to consider when living in Oakland. First, let me talk about your primary tax bill. Because of Proposition 13, throughout California, when you purchase a property, your taxes will not go up if the value of your property goes up. You are, however, subject to those
special assessments and other fixed charges.
In addition, if your property is located within a special district called a Mello-Roos district, you will be subject to additional property taxes. So you're not guaranteed that your taxes will not go up once you've purchased a property. In addition to property tax, you need to think about sales tax and state income tax. They are high. Oakland sales tax rate is around 9.25%. Income tax in California is 9.3%, assuming Oakland's median household income of $53,000 per year. So what about transportation? Many people in Oakland do own a car. There are many neighborhoods where it's not necessary to own a car because of the proximity to public transportation, such as BART, the bus lines, or the ferry. The BART system, yes, like The Simpsons, is our metro system. There are plenty of BART stations in downtown Oakland, North Oakland, and then again along the 880, which is one of our main interstates. The AC transit system is countywide, and there are several bus lines that are Trans-Bay buses. People who commute into the city, even if you live in one of the northern neighborhoods far away from the 880 and the BART system, you have access to these Trans-Bay buses. The cost of BART going from West Oakland BART station to downtown San Francisco would be only $3.20 one way. So you can get to San Francisco pretty cheaply and avoid all the traffic on the Bay Bridge. The AC Transit bus system using the Trans-Bay bus is roughly $4.50 one way. If you're driving, there's a toll charge, and that toll charge is gone up significantly since I've lived here. It used to be like $3 or $4. Now it's $7 on a busy weekday. And in the weekend, it's probably gone up again, even during COVID. So you have AC Transit and BART, and then there's the ferry system, and there's only one ferry terminal in Oakland, and that's the Jack London Square terminal. And that ferry ride, if you have a Clipper card, will only cost you $5.20. The Clipper card can also be used on AC Transit and BART. It's a reloadable plastic card that apparently gives you a discount on the ferry. If you don't have the Clipper card, $7.20 is what it'll cost you to take a one-way ferry ride from Jack London Square to San Francisco Ferry Terminal. I didn't even talk about bicycling. There are plenty of avid bikers in Oakland and the rest of the East Bay. Oakland has approximately 100 miles of bike lanes and plans to have over 241 miles of bike pathways. For those of you who want to continue to own a car, the most expensive part of having a car, probably the parking tickets. The meter folks around here do not relent, especially during COVID. They were still around after 7 p.m. ticketing cars. They ticket you if you're parking on street sweeping days. They ticket you if you park in a zone that isn't painted properly, but you were supposed to know that it was red when it looked gray. And two, the registration. The registration is far more expensive than the US average. And that's not an Oakland specific thing, it's a California thing. In Louisiana, my car registration was $25 for renewing an older car every year. Here it's $125. If you have a new car, good luck. $400 minimum. And don't miss it, and don't pretend you live somewhere else and then pay it later. So what are your other expenses living in Oakland? If you're an avid gym goer, the average gym membership, if you go to a private gym, would be around $100. If you like CrossFit, you can pay anywhere from $125 to $175 a month to join a CrossFit gym. If you go to a franchise gym like 24 Hour Fitness or SF Fitness or City Sports, you can expect to pay anywhere from $40 to $75 per month. Let's talk about my next favorite topic, which is food. One thing I love about living in Oakland is the variety of food choices, whether it's eating out or groceries. So first, grocery costs in Oakland versus other parts of the United States. I moved from Texas when I first came out here, and one of the things that I noticed, even if I was shopping at Target, a particular product was noticeably more expensive than what it cost in Texas. So the same loaf of bread will be slightly cheaper in Texas than it is in California. Some grocery stores are more expensive than others. So if you shop at Sprouts Farmers Market on Broadway, it's more expensive than if you shop at Target in Emeryville. Berkeley Bowl is somewhere in the middle. There's also Whole Foods, there's grocery outlet, there's Safeway. If you want to eat out in Oakland, again, depending on what you eat, where you eat, the cost of dining for two will vary. So if you go to a higher end restaurant, especially if you have drinks on a date night, it'll cost you anywhere from 70 to 150 bucks. If it's a casual dinner at an Ethiopian place, let's say, it might cost you $40 to $50 for the meal. I didn't really talk about alcohol while going out because it's been so long since I've had a drink while going out. There's some places like Grand Lake Kitchen around Lake Merritt on the Adams Point area that are allowing you to take frozen mixed drinks. It's about $15 per drink. And that's pretty typical if you were going out during non-COVID days to pay $12 to $15 for a mixed drink. I'm more of a wine drinker myself, not really a beer drinker. But I'd estimate around $7 to $9. And for a glass of wine at one of these wine tasting places, anywhere from $7 to $12.
Right, now that we've covered most of the presumable costs you have when you live in Oakland, I'm going to total those costs for you. I assumed a couple purchased a smaller home for $800,000 using a conventional loan and 20% down, which is not what you need to purchase a home. You can purchase a home for 3.5% down. Mortgage rates are at an all-time low, so I've used a lower interest rate, and taxes for 2021 because of special assessments will be slightly higher at 1.3737%. So I've included that here. For utilities, these are the averages that we've talked about. PG&E, internet only, using a service like Comcast, Xfinity, water, sewage, trash recycling, all are the same averages I use in the video, even though two people could potentially have lower costs here. Although some utilities have fixed rates like water usage. For transportation, I assumed that this couple did not have a car and both people are working in the city, commuting from MacArthur BART to downtown Civic Center BART in San Francisco. Saves you about $1 a day to use the Clipper card, round trip, and that total here is $312. I also assumed a ride-sharing service would be used for personal trips and sometimes to trips to MacArthur BART. For food, for two people, I assumed groceries and household supplies would total roughly $400 per month, and that the couple ate out once every week at a more economical place. For entertainment during shelter-in-place and non-COVID times, 2 boutique gym memberships would roughly be $120 per person. The Fox Theater is a place where you can go to see shows, and tickets there vary from $45 to $60 per person. I assumed you would go to a show once per month. And then I include, of course, drinks on the weekends. Healthcare is more expensive in the East Bay than it is in San Francisco, and it's really expensive in California in general. So I integrated the cost of healthcare into this budget, just in case employers don't cover that. It's roughly $500 for a non-deductible plan per person. I did not talk about childcare or the cost of private education in this video. That's an entirely different discussion, which I'll cover in a different video.
Thanks for tuning in today. If you have any other questions about living in Oakland, whether you're renting, buying, planning to move here from the other side of the United States or San Francisco, happy to help. Message or comment below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I have plenty of other videos about living in the Bay Area.